With Andrew Lloyd Webber taking the government to court over his theatres not being able to properly reopen, I thought you all deserved a bit of drama here on GB News instead. So in the tradition of the roots of thespianism, it's time for some national catharsis as I present a little soliloquy to give the country, well, all of us, the opportunity to creatively vent our pent-up frustrations. We expect heckling from the aisles. I certainly expect heckling from next door on the sofa, from you in the form of emails and tweets. So grab your mini tubs of ice cream, prepare those interval drinks. It's time for the Alex agenda.
That's half the agenda gone, the time
Did
you
you
took
like
just
that?
for the intro.
I've been a bit arty-farty of my intro today. It's been creative. No, you don't care?
No, it's great.
Right.
No, good evening. Right, off you go.
The Church of England will discuss dropping the title Reverend for its clergy. Why? Apparently to stop child abuse. The 500-year-old title encourages deference, they say, which has helped abusers cover up crimes. So, a term that many of us haven't really given much thought to is going to solve such grave problems. This modern obsession with words and terms and historical mores is not just frustrating and inane, but utterly fails to address the reality of the problems they purport to solve. The Church of England seems to have been captured by a political correctness which tends to divide more than it unites. Churches come in many styles and forms, with congregations choosing the sort of worship that suits them, and most vicars adopt titles that the people in the pews will most relate to. I go to a pretty modern, fun church, and we just know our vicars by their first names.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. It's got rap music and clapping, and it's great.
It's a nightclub.
Well, it's a Day Jesus club. That's what it is.
Okay. Each to their own. I like a nice wren church in the heart of the city for me. But anyway, off you go.
I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Right.
It's agonised me over the last year that this obsession with historic slavery has meant statues somehow eclipse real-time slavery happening now. Activists tearing them down may well be getting their nails put on by trafficked women, or their cars cleaned by captives of gangs, or order takeaways from the black market and buy clothes online from companies using sweatshops. I'm not the only one bothered by this. Two Conservative MPs writing in City AM today, Gareth Davis and Anthony Mangnall, point out that as many as 136,000 people are victims of modern slavery here in the UK alone, which is likely actually to be a major underestimate. They want the Modern Day Slavery Act, astonishingly only brought in 6 years ago, to go further and an international task force created. Now, I would have thought the death of 39 Vietnamese slaves in the back of a lorry in Essex less than 2 years ago should have seen people taking to the streets in disgust. Yet I'm sure all of us can think of nail bars or car washes that exist in our local areas that we might question, or look at tags in our clothes and wonder in what conditions they were made. Very
true. Something actually Theresa May, when she was Prime Minister, something she did try and sort out. Her chief advisor, Fiona Hill, was the driving force behind it, actually. But it's something that's been on the agenda, not just yours, for an awfully long time. And you're absolutely right. People don't sort of think about it.
No, I just think it's utterly astonishing. They spend more time discussing a statue of Cecil Rhodes than they do actually looking at slavery right under their eyes. And it's evident. You know, I walk down streets in London and I see establishments that I think, I'm not sure you're following employment laws, and I'm not sure where, you know, these often young people from abroad, what conditions
do you do anything about it?
No, I don't actually, but I don't use those establishments. But perhaps, you know, there needs to be more done. The public needs to be encouraged.
Or a
reporting
website
line. Because, you know, it's all very well shouting at statues, but they don't really cause that much harm in the modern age, just offence to a minority.
OK.
Right.
GB Views and GB News is what you're looking for. Do let us know what you think about that.
Most people in their right minds are appalled by the fact that a young teacher is still hiding scared for his life after parents protested at him showing a cartoon of Mohammed in a lesson at Batley Grammar School. You all remember that case. Well, apparently this is happening a lot. Ofsted Chief Amanda Spielman said schools are increasingly facing a confrontational brand of activism and said children should not be forced to support campaigns. Teachers are being morally policed on social media by militant activists, usually parents, and pupils and teachers are suffering abuse and even violence simply for being who they are. I totally agree, but perhaps the culture is also connected to the sudden trend in teaching dangerous and divisive notions such as critical race theory in classrooms. I say schools need to stick to the 3 Rs and maybe a bit of RE and stop using kids as pawns in these weird political games.
Yeah, schools terrified, aren't they, of where these parameters are, what they can and can't do, and huge sympathy for this teacher, actually.
Yeah, huge sympathy.
Yep.
Right, one for you.
One.
Poor Prince Harry's lived experience has once again been exposed.
Sorry, read that top again. Poor Prince Harry's...
Oh, yeah, there's a play on words here.
Okay.
See?
Right.
Poor Prince Harry, once again been exposed as failing to match up with reality as the nearly down-and-out grandson of the world's most famous monarch, opined at being cut off by Daddy when he wasn't. How cringe that the "I was literally cut off, ya, Ginge" is still being bankrolled by Prince Charles until last summer, alongside the massive inheritance he already had. So, you quit your job and you get £1 million payout to help you move country to a multi-million-dollar mansion, yet still tell the world you're hard done by. Take a deep breath, Harry, and pause to reflect. If you're watching right now, we know you're back because you're hardly showering yourself in glory. It's true.
No, I'm not arguing. Actually, yes, he probably is watching.
Yeah.
Sitting in...
He wouldn't miss McCoy and Phillips of the world, would he?
No, he'd be throwing something at you right now.
I was so angered by reports that pregnant women could be handed £400 in shopping vouchers if they say they have quit smoking. I almost needed to light up, and I don't even smoke. Even if incentivising works and protects an unborn child, it sticks in my throat more than a 20-pack smoke-a-thon. Rewarding not being a bozo is galling for all the non-bozos out there who make responsible decisions on a daily basis but struggle to make ends meet. I'm all for GPs prescribing smoking cessation aids to help anybody in quitting this highly addictive habit, but it sets a really ugly precedent when it comes to individual responsibility and reward.
Yeah, the individual responsibility is the issue.
Yeah.
I just want to... Someone's just picked up on your slavery rant. This is Dave, who says, do you think we should be giving the Danes and Norwegians a hard time when the Vikings captured thousands of Anglo-Saxons and took them into slavery in the 7th, 8th and 9th centuries? Tongue-in-cheek, but rather backing up the tenet of what you're saying.
Well, yeah, this idea that every culture and every civilization, I think, is in past times used things like slavery, and we don't run around crying over that. But no, the problem is the real-life slavery is still going on. That's the most important thing, I think. Let's deal with that.
Now, Sadie, and this is going to hurt you.
Oh, I've had Sadie before, haven't I?
I'm actually disagreeing with Alex today. Why do church titles matter? I go to church, and they use the classic titles, and they have done since I was christened there. They don't believe names heighten issues such as sex abuse, etc.
Oh, no, Sadie agrees with me then, actually. Sadie, you agree with me. I don't think it does matter, does it? I mean, people want to call their vicar reverend or just call them by their first name. It's different in different churches.
Only you would do that. Someone says, I disagree with Alex, and you said, no, you agree with me.
But no, that was the point I was making.
OK,
yeah.
all right. Okay.
Sorry, Sadie, but thank you. Now, on the subject of bad precedents, Henry Dimbleby, apparently the government's food czar, yes, I despise that term too, has written a report that meat should be taxed to meet climate change targets. But the move could lead to protests. Now, first of all, we're omnivores and meat is a natural part of the human diet. Secondly, farmers have been chronically underpaid for too long, with meat priced far lower than it's worth, leading to this casual waste of food whose cost should reflect the real value of its production and the fact that it also represents a life. And, you know, frankly as well, that would help curb environmentally damaging factory farms. But what about enabling consumers to buy single portions of meat? Why do you always have to buy a multi-pack of chicken breasts or chicken thighs or whatnot, which surely leads to unnecessary waste? It's about time home economics became a major focus and shopping and cooking are brought back to their basics rather than punishing people who eat what Homo sapiens are supposed to.
OK, but you don't.
Don't what?
Eat meat.
I do eat meat. I just literally sat by eating a chicken salad. Like, eat a chicken salad next to you every day.
Far too busy to watch what you're eating as I'm slaving away.
Yeah, but I do eat. I don't eat beef, but I eat everything else.
OK.
Yeah. Anyway, finally, a giant ice sculpture bigger than a double-decker bus has been unveiled in London ahead of London Climate Action Week. I can't wait for that. Renewable electricity provider E.ON revealed the 20-ton sculpture to coincide with the announcement of its new £4 million zero-carbon heating and cooling system. Now, I'm sure transporting this giant block of ice from the Arctic or from some massive freezer used to make it didn't have any carbon footprint whatsoever for all that virtue signalling. And it will probably dissolve in next week's rains set to lash the capital.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, who thought that was a good idea?
Right. It's utterly nonsense, isn't it? Do you know what? We're going to prove how positive we are about climate change by getting a ship to come all the way from the Arctic with a giant bit of glacier or go... I don't know where it came from, that block of ice, but it's
the
got to
process
have
of
a
keeping
carbon
it frozen
footprint.
will have involved some sort of...
Yeah. It hasn't been that cold that it sort of appeared naturally in London and been, you know, carved out, has it?
No. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's pointless.
OK, well, I think you've... Oh, I'm just having a look. Oh, Alex is spot on. There we go. Another great Alex agenda. She's spot on every topic, says Steve. Steve, you need to get out a bit more.
No, Steve's staying and carry on watching. or watch us on the app.
No, OK.
Did see what I did there?
Yeah, I did. Want to hear your views on Matt Hancock? Anything else that's caught your eye today? Do let us know. GB Views at GBNews is the place to go. And after the break, could a simple blood test diagnose up to 50 types of cancer? We're going to be speaking to the Institute of Cancer Research. Don't go away.